Okay, sound on, vision on, lens cleaned, no toothpaste on my face. Let's try this again. So welcome to day 1 of week 30. Arbanagoge. So it's been raining very heavily. We're really seeing the shift into autumn. Well, it should be winter right now. It's lucky global warming isn't a thing, isn't it? Really? Otherwise that would be terrible. It would mean that the earth was warming up and the seasons were getting knackered up. That's not happening. So yes, in the woods again. So it's Monday morning, week 30. Yeah. So yesterday I was watching quite a few interviews with Alan Moore, one of my favourite authors, who wrote things like Watchmen, V for Vendetta, Lost Girls, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, you know, that kind of thing, Promethea. Lots and lots of stuff. A very weird comic book called The Birth Call, which is very weird. So yeah, and he was talking about the role that magic plays, or the role that we assume magic played in early civilizations, you know, tribal limits. And then that swirled around in my head, along with a re-listen of Leaders Eat Last, and I can't remember the name of the author, just put that, which is all about leadership and, you know, responsible leadership and when it works, how it works and why it works. Yeah. And it reminded me of the Milgram experiment, among other things, where, you know, there's a person in another room and the subject is ordered to give the person in the other room increasingly high voltage electric shocks, or so they think. And it turns out that 65% of people, if instructed to do so, and they can't see the other person, which means that their facial recognition on empathy and stuff like that, it's all down to language. When it goes down to just language, and a human being is an abstraction, 65% of people will kill someone. And Milgram went on to write a book called The Banality of Evil, and how that much as we'd like to believe that there are evil people in the world, generally speaking, they're people that have managed to sort out abstractions. There are some sociopathic people in the world that believe they are the most important thing in it and will sacrifice everybody else just for their comfort. But yeah. And I know I joke about wiping people out and stuff, but you know, I obviously don't mean it. I'm still at large and haven't killed anybody or even set out to injure anybody. What would be the point? So yes. But getting back to Alan Moore, I mean the Leaders Eat Last book kind of crystallised an idea. I mean, we basically need shamans. Or shaman. I think shamans is better. Shah persons, the people of Shah. River's running fast, it's been raining all night, so this is likely to be a short video because I don't want to get up to my knees in mud or fall over or anything like that, however entertaining my audience might find it. So yeah, still got this bloody cold, but then again I'm working all the hours, so that's not a problem. That's like an honest way to, you know, sort out all sorts of things. So yeah, so Alan Moore was talking about magic and how magic is the birth region of science, art and religion. You know, the idea of a shaman showing you flickering images in a dark cave and telling you a story so that you learn how to plant crops or where not to get eaten by crocodiles and shit. And yeah, it does seem that the more hostile an environment people live in, where there are resources, if you've got an environment where there are lots of resources, eventually you get to a level, you get to technology. You know, eventually you get to pottery for grain storage, you get to cloth for clothing, you know, and you get a whole lot more, you know, hunting and eating meat when, you know, the vegetation won't sustain human life easily. And that is largely the reason humans eat meat. You know, I think people would have probably eaten meat in a very opportunistic way to start with, because if you look at our ancestors, we don't eat a shitload of meat. You know, Australopithecus didn't eat, you know, tons and tons of meat. Chimpanzees don't eat loads of meat, even though they got the teeth for it. Gorillas certainly don't. Gorillas are vegetarian. I'd feel very annoyed if I got beaten up by a gorilla, largely because it would mean that I had annoyed the gorilla. The gorilla's not going to start on me. Gorillas have got fairly simple social rules. It would mean I had not done any research and I had been culturally inept. But yeah. Oh yeah. The nicest animal on the planet that has the capacity to learn, speak in sign language, all kinds of shit like that, is the one one of the most endangered. That's going to be an embarrassing conversation to have with aliens or artificial intelligence, isn't it? Well, I'd like a best friend as a gorilla. I'd prefer to share a house with a gorilla than maybe a dog. Have something that had an opinion. So yeah, I like gorillas. So, you know, so it was talking about magic and technology and stuff like that, and how one shapes the other and how religion has got out of hand and stuff. You know, because magic is all about educating people and equipping people to deal with the world. You know, even if your theories about how things come to be are wrong, they're like placeholders in magic. You know, the stories evolve as things change. With religion, you've got people with a vested interest in things remaining exactly as they are, possibly with a few more followers. And also, it struck me that this is going on from many conversations I've had with Chipko about us moving into an age of ethics. And we're in the birth pangs of that right now. You know, we've got to keep the ethical baby alive long enough to arm it and equip it for a new world. So there's quite a lot of responsibility with this particular time in humanity's story. You know, and there are people that are, you know, arguably becoming depressed, mentally ill, having to not cope with things because, you know, of all the weird, fucked up shit in the world. You know, how much of a step is it from my position of amazed and confused? How big a step is it from there to actual depression? You know, or actual paranoid delusions, or you know, people that can see it have got to be real careful. And you know, that's not a new thing. There have been predominantly bonkers people with, you know, especially talented people with an ability to tell stories or create stuff. You know, the idea of, look guys, it's like this. You know, please don't fuck it up. So a lot of those people that were trying to, you know, give people a reason to think differently, it's really pressureful. If you think in a different format to other people, or you step outside society's prescribed bounds on how it is they think you're supposed to live, it's a hell of a life. You know, and it can drive you bonkers. You certainly suffer from depression quite regularly. Rule for depression, wait 3 days. Just wait 3 days. crack open a beer, fire up a doobie, do whatever, chill out, listen to your favourite music and wait 3 days. It's a long time, I know, 72 hours, but you generally find that it's a cyclic thing where it's almost like, and I'm forming a theory on this, and it's in no way proved, this is me just shooting the shit. It's almost like when you go into REM sleep, you are enabled to shrug off all the random crap and bad ideas and all the things that get you down. You get to, get rid of that. And if you don't get enough REM sleep, you build up like an accretion of it, and it takes your body several more nights, which is why depressed people want to stay in bed, because the more sleep you have, the more you can jettison all the depressing thoughts and stuff. Just a theory, but if I get more sleep, I generally get out of a depressive funk. But you just got to look at it. When you can imagine a better world, it's a bit of a curse. So I think there's a role for the shaman to return. I think business executives should have to listen to a shaman, and their decisions will be shaman approved or not. Not approved of by shamans. The shamans have spoken to the other shamans, the elders of the tribe have gone, I don't think that's a very good fucking idea. That is a massive waste of resources. You need to cooperate with this other company more. And maybe have like scientists had in, say, the Napoleonic Wars. There was no moratoria on scientists travelling when we were at war with France in the 1800s. There was no problem with scientists travelling to and from Paris. If you're a member of the Royal Society, you kind of had a passport to travel to enemy countries, and nobody would, unless you were unlucky enough to travel by Royal Navy ship or something stupid like that. But you could make arrangements to travel, say, via Portugal and Spain to France, and you'd be very unlucky if you got caught up in any fighting. But there was still an exchange of scientific inquiry, which is interesting. Let's turn this around, get this done. So I shouldn't have toothpaste on my face. I did look in the mirror before I came out. I'm gonna have to do that. So shamans as like a thing that's above the concept of countries and governments. You don't have to agree with the shaman, but if you want that shaman approved, this is ethical thing, you have a person that sort of just investigates top to bottom an idea or a product, and then you just get a stamp of approval. Right, okay, the shaman has said that this is an okay thing to do.